Did Colorado's spring game meet your expectations? Because expectations is going to be the buzzword around this Colorado program heading into the 2023 season. Are the expectations of Colorado fans realistic or unrealistic? What are our expectations? What are Vegas's expectations? And all of this will be judged, obviously, over the course of 12 regular season games. But after the spring game, did it meet your expectations?
Yes. How could it not have? And this is okay. So you asked a bunch of questions there. Some remain to be seen, but like the expectations were off the charts. I thought the scene was off the charts. Like
right.
For Colorado, like you sold out a stadium. They were loud. They were exciting. It was basically a 2-hour infomercial for the Colorado Buffaloes. Like I would say they got exactly what they thought they would get. Now, how does the product on the field, like the play, how does that translate? Like that's a different conversation, but just from the spring game experience, yeah, it met the expectations, maybe over delivered too. Like we knew it was going to be a zoo, but it was pretty insane.
Anecdotally, I will say I was in the Tampa St. Pete area over the weekend, and I was in a sports bar. We were going to the White Sox Rays game at the Trop. We were at a bar outside the stadium, and there's a billion TVs. It's a sports bar. And, there's the NBA playoffs going on. So those are on some of the TVs. There's baseball going on. Those are on some of the TVs. There's hockey on. The big screen, I look over behind me. It's like a 75-inch, whatever, 100-inch projector kind of screen. It's the Colorado spring game at a bar in St. Pete outside of a baseball stadium. That is the game that was on the big screen. And it was just one of those things where it's like, this is the fact they're putting that on the big screen while there's an NBA playoff game going on. There's NHL playoff games going on. And I was like, holy crap. I mean, I knew it was the only one that was on broadcast TV, but the fact that at a bar in Florida, they were showing that on the main TV to me was wild. So yeah, I would say it was effective.
Is that the pride of Fort Myers coming through? Is that just like Deion Sanders and all of his Florida roots? It's just like the key is actually going to be like Colorado's TV market ratings is going to show that Colorado games are spiking in Florida and spiking in Dallas and spiking in San Francisco. I don't know. Bud, what'd you think?
I thought they really were pretty smart about how they went about it. As Denny said, and Tom said, it was basically an infomercial for the bus for 2 hours. They ran a little bit of 11 on 11. I like the fit for Shedeur in this Sean Lewis offense. I don't think he has a real strong arm, but I do think he throws that sort of deep touch ball a little bit. This is similar to what we talked about with Tennessee's offense a couple episodes ago when we broke down kind of what you need and maybe more importantly, what you don't need to run that offense successfully. We saw Travis Hunter catch a touchdown pass. We had him as the number one corner in the country. If he had played receiver, I feel strongly he would have been the number one receiver in the country coming out as a recruit. They had a couple other guys look pretty good there. Lines of scrimmage, I think, are a pretty big concern due to what you cannot get in the transfer portal. Thought the O-line looked okay, but if you kind of adjust for opponent, like Colorado's D-line just is, I think, straight up bad. And I mean, maybe the worst in the Power 5, other than like Stanford, which I'm not really sure about still. They were getting some pressure. So if that line's getting some pressure, that does, I think, concern you a little bit as a Colorado fan. They got to get a lot of help defensively. I mean, this could be a top half offense, moved like top 60 offense in college football, but like a bottom 15 defense if they don't get some major help in the portal defensively. So the new clock rules may not affect Colorado because they may be in some 4.5-hour games here. But I mean, I thought they really smartly switched from 11 on 11 to 7 on 7 quickly. Because what do you not have to have in 7 on 7? Linemen, right? And they need some depth too. The quality of these backups running around, they kind of look like me, and that's not great. So,
are you doing they look small? Are you bringing that back?
They got me on that. You see that? They hit me with the I don't know how you describe this on air. Anyway, I tweeted, they're like, who the hell are these backups playing? And then they tweeted out like the real little guys with the huge heads graphic. It was great.
Yeah.
Did you guys, sometimes I like get into conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Did you guys think the Travis Hunter touchdown was set up because there was no defender there? Like, I mean, I get they can have blown coverages, and then they had the 98-yard touchdown pass to the other guy that ended up transferring after. Like, and that almost looked too good to be true. Like, it was a great play, and everybody's feeling those are the two highlights that we all saw from the game. That or they have some serious problems getting lined up on the defensive side of the ball, which may be it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game script.
Yeah,
It is a game script. You're dealing with reality shows.
Yeah. They did have, I think they did something. So I didn't get to watch it live, but they were 1s versus 2s. Is that what they were doing? Because a lot of teams will do that. You know, good programs, you want to go 1s versus 1s. You get a really good taste where you are. Programs that might want to look better, especially in offense, you go 1s versus 2s because you have your better players out there and you usually win that way. So I thought that could have been happening too. Like you get deeper on the depth chart, you get some freshman out there who's been on campus for 2 months and he's lost, you know, and then you can line them up.
Anything else on Colorado?
All right. I'm not super worried about the receiver they lost. Like Marcus Thelonious Craig is a good player, and he had the touchdown catch against Cal to beat them last year for their like lone win. But I mean, think about who they have. If they're actually going to play Travis on offense, which is worth a discussion here, because I think he's very good on offense, but also that defense looks horrible.
Play both. Why won't he? Deion was a two-way guy.
I mean, you might, yeah, and I think they probably.
I think he will
and will need to. But Xavier Weaver can play. Jimmy Horn can play. I don't know about Tyson. He had a big time knee injury. They got this kid named Traore from Arkansas State who's like listed as a tight end, but if you look at him, he looks more like a receiver. I think they'll be okay. It is a little surprising the guy goes for 158 receiving yards and then bounces.
Yeah, I think Hunter can go both ways. You'd probably put him on defense like 100% of the time, and then offensively you work in some packages and some plays with him. Because I think defensively they do need him. Like it's from what I saw, that was just not a very optimistic defense.
And
that's what they did at Jackson State. They used
Mm-hmm.
them sparingly on receiver, big plays, and kind of like what Deion did. And so you mentioned the receiver who transferred out. They did have a decommitment, right, after the weekend. Anything like, do you read more into this, or is this just normal?
Well, I was going to say Lamonius Craig's exit is one of like 8 now. I mean, it is like a pretty long line of players that are entering the transfer portal, leaving Colorado after this spring practice, which I can only assume is the fulfillment of what Deion Sanders said when he talked to the team for the first time, essentially telling a room full of the current roster, some of you guys aren't going to be here. And at the end of spring practice, even if you might have had 158 receiving yards in the spring game, you might know that, you know, there are going to be other players playing ahead of you.
So as far as reading into the kid decommitting, it's easy to get, not easy. It is easier to get a commit from a kid really early than it is to get a kid to get a commit from that kid really late if he's actually that good. And he might actually be that good. And now somebody in his home state named LSU actually wants him. So it's a whole different ball game. Like, I do not expect that Deion is going to beat out LSU, Georgia, Ohio State for like top level kids that those schools really want. Now, will he beat them out for a super stud maybe once in a while? Yeah. Look at Travis Hunter, right? Unique situation there. Will he beat him out for some guys that they've allegedly offered, but maybe the offer was like a full year ago and they really haven't been pursuing? Yes, but it's still really hard to get elite kids to come to Colorado, especially if you didn't have that kind of pre-existing relationship with them.